Welcome to For the Record, a podcast by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus, hosted by Senator Brian Pettyjohn, Senator Eric Buxton, Chief of Staff Deanna Killen, and Communications Director Matt Revel. This is For the Record.
All right, enough
about spin. So we, for our avid listeners and viewers, yes, more so viewers actually. You may have noticed we didn't have an episode last week. It's because we record on Thursdays after session. Well,
I came in. I was like, "Are we going to?"
That is true. Yeah, actually. Yeah. So you and Senator.
Were you serious? You were ready to record?
I would have done it.
I didn't know that.
I was that punchy. I would have done it.
It was like 8:30 at night, something like that. By the time we wrapped up session.
I would have done it. I didn't know you were serious. I thought you were kidding.
No.
You had already left. You gabbled out and you were gone.
Yeah, I got no sleep the night before because I was up doing agenda comments till like after midnight. So I was tired.
Well, your dedicated communications director was here.
Yeah.
Ready to record. But alas, we did not know. So we wanted to, well, I guess even before we get really into it, Joint Finance Committee will be meeting this week and next week. So the Senate and the House, they are not in session. But we still wanted to do an episode to kind of recap what went on Thursday. The reason why we're in so late.
Yes, and the reason Senator Buxton is not joining us today is because he actually is meeting downstairs today.
Yeah,
right.
Regarding JFC. So, all right, I guess let's just start off with the two bills that passed Thursday night. How many hours of debate did we have? Was it 6 hours of debate?
It was close to 6. I mean, once we got through the formalities and the first couple bills
the
were
easy
like
stuff,
easy. Yeah, we started off with Senate Bill 272. I think it was about 3:30 roughly.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
And then went right into 300. I think it was, there might have been an easy one or two in between there, I forget. But
and Senate Bill 272 is the one that requires PLA for school projects.
Project labor agreement.
Project labor agreement, yes. Over $5 million. And Senate substitute one for Senate Bill 300 is the one that was relating to deadly weapons, which there's a lot of debate whether or not this is actual gun registry, but I think we can all agree it kind of sets the framework for what could possibly become a gun registry. So both of those bills, our guys did a phenomenal job debating those two bills. Of course, unfortunately, both of them passed, which we knew they would. But I don't know if you all wanted to say anything about the debate, and I have a couple things I would point out that were highlights of the night for me.
Yeah, let's hear what your highlights are.
There's only one of us here that did the debating. So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we all listened, though. We all listened.
It was entertaining.
I really enjoyed Senate Bill 272, just for the fact, first off, you guys killed it. That was the worst debate I've ever heard from the other side. They literally could not give a reason why this was needed other than the unions want it.
Right.
But this representative from the Black Caucus got up as an expert witness, and she opposed the bill, of course. And
Black Chamber of Commerce.
Black Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was the Black Caucus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, you're right. Black Chamber of Commerce. But anyway, she got up.
It's a politician. He's always right.
That's right. What am I thinking? Yeah. But she basically was saying why she opposed it, and then she made the comment that she felt like the bill sponsor had a conflict. And, of course, he immediately said, well, what do you mean? What kind of conflict of interest do I have? And she says, well, you receive contributions. You could have heard a pin drop after that, and it was so hilarious. I just thought that was funny because let's think about it. It really is kind of a conflict.
Yeah, I mean, look, that was not necessarily the right forum because I'm a process person. I'm a process person. So, that necessarily may not have been the right forum to bring that up. But, just going back to the debate, I mean, we asked a lot of really good questions, and there was no clear answer on why this was needed.
Yep.
We already have Delaware companies that are at these job sites that are doing construction. We just had Sussex Central that got done, downstate, and there were a lot of local labor there. Mm-hmm. They're already paid prevailing wage, so they get the same wage that a union person would get. It's a scale job, but I just don't want to see people come from other places because this is going to be a union job, and displace the workers that we have, here in Delaware just in favor of these unions. I
Right.
mean, yeah, everybody should have a fair shake for this work. It should be a level playing field, and this tips those scales right now.
The only thing I heard was, as a reason, was this would make it so there would be more minority representation on these job sites. But, I mean, I feel like most of the companies and people that spoke out in opposition of this bill were minority-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So I don't think that flies.
No, I don't get that. I don't see where that is. I mean, yeah, and we had during the committee debate, we had a lot of the Hispanic businesses come and testify against this bill. So, look, your entrepreneurs, your people that are out there just trying to make a good living, they want a slice of this pie. That's this government work, in construction, and kind of rewriting the rules to favor one side versus the other is not fair, and it's not something we should be doing as a state.
I agree.
I did find it, I always find it interesting, rather, when we're having these discussions about, I guess, for lack of a better term, pro-union pieces of legislation, which I do think it's worth mentioning. Like our caucus, we're not anti-union.
Right.
We support a workers' right to organize, join a union, this and that, but not everybody wants to be a part of a union.
Right.
And
we're about freedom. People should have a choice.
And this
to
really,
do that.
yeah, and we really heard that throughout the course of this debate during the committee hearing from, like you said, the minority-owned businesses and a lot of other merit shop contractors that came in. I find it interesting that it seems like the other side, they don't grasp that. Like they just assume that, union's great, this and that. They want to be a part of it. And I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, so with these project labor agreements, so you have, let's say, I guess the non-union company wins the bid, but the PLA, because of the other provisions, there has to be a PLA. So I guess their employees would either have to join a union or that company would have to hire union work to do the, is that correct?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you have a construction company that has, say, 100 employees and none of them want to join a union, even, I guess it would be temporary. I don't know.
How
does that
would
work?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously going to put, I mean, there's no wonder that company isn't going to be doing the bidding.
Right.
And essentially puts them out. I mean, that argument seemed to be very foreign to the folks who were supporting this.
I would just like to see what one of these project labor agreements looks like.
Yeah.
It'd just be interesting to see what the terms are that the employer has to abide by for these contracts. So, I mean, that would be an interesting thing to get our eyes on, if we could get our eyes on one of those, just to, just really see what the language is.
Yeah, and Senator Buxton had asked the question, in the first version of this bill, in this one as well, like, why is DelDOT never included? Because Senator Buxton made the comment, the reason DelDOT's not included is because this would add a tremendous cost to the work done by DelDOT in turn our budget. And of course, the fiscal note on this bill is indeterminable. So there's really no way of knowing what this is going to cost. But even the superintendent stood up and said, this is going to add significant cost to construction of our schools.
Yeah, representatives from various school boards, superintendents. I mean, everybody across the board except those who supported this legislation.
Which in turn
was saying that it's going to raise costs significantly.
And the taxpayers pay for that. They go to referendum for these school projects, and taxpayers pay that.
Yeah.
So people need to remember that. So that passed. It's headed over to the House. We'll see what happens there. I don't know what the support is like over there, but again, the union usually gets what they want. So I imagine it would pass over there. Anyone want to have anything else to say about that, or should we move on to SB 300?
I think this 272 was just the whole nature of the debate around it, even in committee. I mean, it was Senator Walsh just kind of took everything that everybody that this bill would affect said, no, this isn't going to be good for us. All the schools are saying how they, involve their local communities in terms of, the local contracting organizations to get students into internship programs and, after school work release programs and things like that. Yes. And he was just like, no, I didn't really care. Basically, is what this kind of said to me. Is
It's
just
probably interesting for you, isn't it? Kind of like a first year, really sitting in and listening to these debates.
It's extremely interesting, and in this one, you just cannot deny that there's definitely some special interest groups that just prevailed here over the will of the voters and everybody else that's involved. Just very disheartening.
Yeah.
90%, and I believe this was the number, I forget what group put it out, but I've seen it float around. 90% of those who work in the construction trade are non-union.
In Delaware, yeah.
In Delaware.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to...
So this tips the scales for that 10%.
And there's
Absolutely
also
does.
debate on if there is even enough union workers to do the work. There was a debate on that as well.
Yeah, that was another thing that I think we need to discuss too. So, very quickly, I know we got a lot
That's
there,
okay.
but the argument kept coming back as well. This helps Delaware workers because we're going to be hired. Like, this guarantees that Delawareans are. Well, that's not necessarily the case because I think, especially at Newcastle, one of the closest union shops is out of Pennsylvania. It's like Philly. I don't know. I just didn't understand that argument too well.
Do you know how many union
I might be
groups there
wrong
are
with
down
that,
in
but-
Sussex County doing work?
Not many. I know we've got Carpenters Union that's got a hall in Georgetown.
Yeah.
But we've got IBEW that's down there, and they that's your electrical workers. But I'm not sure exactly.
I just wonder how
many
it's going to affect
union shops
Sussex
are down
County and work down there.
Yeah.
Because this is just school construction, but we all know what happens. They're eventually going to come back next year with what his original bill was, which would be pretty much all state work with the exception of DelDOT.
Yeah,
road
because
work.
when I worked in that industry, I mean, it was mainly residential, but none of the commercial construction companies I dealt with were unionized.
Right.
So it would be a small number, I would say. I think the vast majority of the union labor is probably concentrated in Newcastle County.
Yeah, they say that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I attended a community meeting for you one night. It was at a Latino church down in Georgetown, and I was very surprised because I wasn't expecting it, but one of the gentlemen got up and was talking about this bill, and he was angry.
Yeah.
I mean, he got up and he was telling all of these, Latinos, like, they are coming after your jobs and you need to pay attention. And I was like, okay. So that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Not that they were opposed, you know what I mean? Just it was cool to see that they were very involved. They knew what was going on, and they were going to organize, and they were going to fight it.
Yeah. And I mean, we have seen them come up here in big blocks to argue against passing these PLA bills that we've had.
Actually, wasn't it the pilot program that kind of led to this bill?
Yes,
that they
it
were
was.
up here.
Yeah.
Epilogue language in
Yep.
the mini bond bill. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, it
That's
was
correct.
bond, yeah.
That's correct. Again, it's incremental. They always
Yeah.
start with the little steps.
And even worse, like that wasn't even a separate law.
Yeah.
That
No.
was just
It
kind
was
of
tucked
shoehorned
in.
into
It
a
was-
mini bond bill that
Yeah.
passes annually.
Yeah.
Doesn't really ever
Usually without any debate.
right
You
because it's non-controversial stuff.
Normally,
right?
yeah.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, because that was unusual that year. We
Yeah.
typically don't have controversial stuff in the mini
On mini
bond. I
bond,
remember
no.
that. All right, so let's move on to SB 300. That passed as well. You guys, again, did great debating that, asked a lot of good questions. I'm not sure what the support's going to be in the House, but I'd
Well,
be
it is a
shocked if it
3/5
didn't
bill
pass.
too. So, they don't need any Republicans, but I don't think they can lose any Democrats either
Okay.
for that.
None?
I think it's 4.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to do quick
Let's
mental
do
math,
math here.
But no. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over to the House now because it does charge a fee. There, it does make it a 3/5 bill, so it is a supermajority. But look, it's doing a lot of stuff to the gun dealers. It's upping requirements, information they have to store. They have to periodically transmit data to the state, whereas right now they just keep that data, for a long period of time.
Right.
In their books, but now certain information like the gun date a gun was purchased, the type of gun, serial number, any other type of characteristics of the gun have to be transmitted, I believe, twice a year to the State Bureau of Identification or Delaware State Police. Nothing in there about the name associated with that gun yet.
Right.
But again, it's that incrementalism that I'm worried about. That, okay, they've got this database now.
Right.
The next thing is just another quick bill that's going to be a simple majority to say now they have to send the name
Right.
along with it.
And that is coming. Guaranteed.
I would think so.
Yeah. 3 Democrats, if they flip no.
Okay.
And we already know, pretty sure there's one of them that's definitely
I know at
no.
least one. Yeah.
So
We'll see if it gets through over
I can
there.
think of 2 more that would.
It would be it would be
Probably,
refreshing
but-
to see a few of them split from their party because
Mhm.
we did have one in the Senate,
Yes,
right? We
one
had one
did.
Democrat vote now,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, but now a lot of the Second Amendment groups, your privacy, your libertarian types, they just, they don't want that information to go out. And I think one of the great witnesses that we had was Ronnie Hagan.
yes,
He's a retired state police. He's a captain now.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Forget what he was, but he's a retired state trooper. He owns a business, both a training and a gun business over in the Lewis area. And he answered some really good questions
he did.
from the floor about what actually happens right now. I think some of our friends over on the other side of the chamber think, oh, people just go in and buy it. You've got employees there that really don't care as long as they pass a background check. They're not looking for flags. And Ron came in and really gave a look into what happens in a gun store and what they look for and what they go through to make sure that an individual should be, if they're they should be buying a gun. If there's any type of flags, they can deny a sale for pretty much any reason that they want in a gun store. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand either. You don't have a firearms dealer does not have a duty to sell you a gun. If they think anything's off, they just say, sorry, I'm not going to sell you a gun, and please leave our premises.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I'm good with that.
Or they,
yeah, I do too.
They accidentally put in the wrong birth date and it gets kicked back.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, what with
That's-
all
I
these
know that's happened before. But
Yeah.
with all these gun bills that they've passed, like, I wonder what the time is now, the wait time to actually get a gun if you need one. Anybody have an idea?
I don't know. I haven't gone since all this stuff. Now I still have the concealed carry permit, so
Yeah.
that's usually a little bit of a quicker process.
Yeah.
But again, with permit to purchase, you have to go through your training. You have
Yep.
to get the permit. You have to get all that stuff approved before you even can go in there and purchase one.
Yeah.
I think Ron was interviewed in I forget what news outlet it was, but I remember the quote that his handgun sales was down like 70%
Yeah.
since permit to purchase was kicked in, which I would have to imagine was a substantial portion of his business
And that-
and other FFLs around the state.
And that was the goal. Let's be honest, that
Yeah.
was the goal. And it's frustrating because, again, and we've said this 100 times, this doesn't really do anything to people who are wanting to get a gun, criminals who want to get guns. I mean, we saw this weekend there was a terrible shooting in Sussex County, and the people who, well, I know at least one of them, I think he was out on bail from gun charges.
Yeah, one of the gun charges he had, I believe, was possession of a firearm. Well, he was under 21, so he had that, but with a serial number obliterated.
Yeah. And yet he's walking around and murders someone else.
Another gun crime.
That's why I want a gun. That's why I want a gun at my house, because if someone shows up at my house at night, I want to be able to protect myself. And,
Which is even concerning because he's 19 years old.
yeah.
Right.
What's going on? Why?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and it just goes to show, like, with those statistics that you request annually that we received and will be, I'm sure, putting out a little more formally soon.
Yeah.
I mean, if the actual crimes were being prosecuted, I'm sure a lot of this would just go away.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another thing, too, I think is important to note. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when they talk about, like, gun deaths or gun violence, I mean, that they include suicides in that as well, right?
I believe
So
so,
whenever
yeah.
you hear a statistic of gun violence, it's not always
That's correct.
right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to put that out there so people were aware.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on SB 300?
Yeah, it's, again, just a lot of debate. I'm really proud of our caucus on both
Yep.
of those bills. For
Agree.
we had our plan in place, and we executed that plan pretty darn well.
Yep,
So
I agree.
brought up a lot of good points. Some
them on the
points
record.
sponsors and the witnesses of the sponsors could not really answer well. They just kind of glossed over some of those, but they voted for them anyway. So, we at least we do our homework on this side, and unfortunately, we're on the defense a lot more than the other side is, because they can just not pass one of our bills out of committee.
Right.
So they don't have to argue against one of our bills. They don't put it on the agenda.
Yep.
They never get to hear a controversial bill of ours.
And has there ever been, in the last 2 years in this General Assembly, has there ever been one of their bills, a Democrat-sponsored bill, come to the Senate and fail? I'm pretty sure that they just don't bring them to the floor if they don't have the votes. And to me, that's sad. If you owe it to the citizens of Delaware to bring those bills to the floor and have an open debate so the public can hear you. I really have a problem with all this stuff being decided in caucus as opposed to allowing the public to hear these debates. I think that's a disservice to Delawareans.
I completely agree. I mean, and there's some bills that are out of committee that, I'd like to see out, out on the floor. They're sitting on the ready list, like we were talking before, HB 75.
Yes.
HB 75 is one of those.
What is the status of that? Because it made it out of judiciary earlier this year, right?
Yes.
So do you know any information on why that's not on the agenda yet?
So the last that I heard, and I've been talking to the sponsor of it, and I've been talking to leadership over there about, getting it actually on the agenda.
Let's say what HB 75 does for people that don't know.
Yeah, HB 75 is a bill that will get rid of the statute of limitations for somebody to bring a civil suit if there was sexual abuse that occurred. Yes. So right now there is a time limit. Some claims for kids that maybe our age right now that were abused as children are time barred from bringing those suits. It would eliminate that time bar.
It would also go ahead.
Yeah, and also I think this is where we're both going to go. Waive sovereign immunity.
Yes, that's the big one.
Yeah, for the state and the school district. So if that abuse occurred at the hands of a state institution or a school here in Delaware, those suits could be brought against them for that. So I think it's a really important bill. Last General Assembly, it actually came over from the House on the last day of session.
I remember that.
And that's not enough time to really vet a bill. Senator Townsend allowed me to lay that bill on the table and bring it up, discuss it for a little bit, and then put it back on the table. There weren't the votes over there to do it. Had to bring it up under suspension of rules and all of that. All of those types of things that we have to do. But this year, of course, Representative Dukes started over the House again. This year, the Senate lead is Senator Poore. Been talking to her about it, been talking to leadership over there. I think the biggest concern right now is what the fiscal cost to Delaware might be. Yeah. And, they're seeing what's happened over in Maryland with a lot of lawsuits that have come against the state. With Delaware, we do things a little bit differently over here. We're not as spread out. We don't have necessarily like counties that handle a lot of stuff. It's really centralized within the state of Delaware. So I don't know if we're seeing maybe more of an exposure or less of an exposure of risk here in Delaware. But I think that's really what's causing some pause over in that caucus is what's this going to do to the state? Look, I think we need to put it out there. I think we need to vote on it.
I agree.
And then see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, to me, if this is happening, then people need to be compensated and made whole, for sure.
People need to be held accountable.
Absolutely. And if this is a way to do that moving forward to make people more, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, we need to figure out what's going on. We need to hold people accountable, and then, hopefully the compensation that they receive will help them with counseling and kind of getting back on with their lives from these terrible things that happen to them.
Yeah, they find the money for anything else they want.
I know.
We'll see what happens there.
There may be some discussion as to ways that we can, possibly do some things like maybe yearly caps or, annuity type payments just at a lump sum, just so that it's not as big of a hit to our budget like we're seeing over in Maryland. But I think bottom line, we need to get the bill on the floor, pass it, and if we need to do some adjustments, next year, we do some adjustments next year. Okay. But I think we need to take that first step and get it voted on and get it signed into law.
Okay. We'll see if we see that before June 30th then. All right. One bill that was just filed on May 21st is HB 440, and this is the first leg of a constitutional amendment. This is sponsored by Representative Harris. It would change the framework for how constitutional amendments are passed. Currently, it's 2/3 of both chambers has to pass one General Assembly, and then it has to come back again and pass the next General Assembly, the first and second leg, and that's when it becomes law. They basically want to do the same thing as far as the first leg goes. It would come before the General Assembly, pass 2/3, both chambers, but then it would go out for a vote during the next general election. And it would require at least 55% of voters in order for it to pass. So here's a little bit that I kind of got into the weeds with this. If the voters vote for it and it passes, it becomes law. Okay. If the voters say, no, we don't want this, the General Assembly could still come back the next General Assembly and pass the second leg, and it would become law. I don't agree with that, because to me, if you're putting it out to the voters and they've said no,
That should be the end of the
that
story.
should be the end of it.
Right.
So I'm really not sure why that's in there, but I think that should be removed. But I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think about that? Do you like that better than the process now or less?
I don't. I like the process way it is.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, voters already have a say in the election.
And that's the reason for 2 consecutive General
Correct.
Assemblies. Yeah.
Yeah, so it gets
Yeah.
put on the first leg of the General Assembly. If it passes and you see that, whoever your representative or senator has voted yes or no, you disagree, then you have the opportunity to voice your opinion there. So that's where I'm at.
I don't like that second part of it where
that's
if the
me.
voters don't pass it, then the General Assembly can
Yes.
still do it. Because that is a direct kind of slap in the face to the will of the people. The only thing I would change about the referendum piece would probably make it 60%.
Yeah. I would support that.
Yeah, versus 55. Again, we want that threshold to be a little bit higher, especially if we're changing our Constitution.
Right. That's a big deal.
And, look, we're not, we just passed a bill over here that, or got it out of committee. I don't know if it was been passed yet or not. That would remove the requirement to notice constitutional amendments in the newspapers.
Right.
So, we need to have an educated electorate to make these decisions on, what we want to put in our Constitution or take out of the Constitution, and any kind of changes to the Constitution. But at the same time, I think that bar needs to be a little bit definitely higher than 50. And I'm thinking higher than 55, maybe a 60%, vote on that.
Yeah. And it does have to be a single subject matter as well. That you can't throw several things in there, and it did say that I think it makes it a 3/5 vote for technical changes. So right now, is it 3/5 or is it 2/3 right now?
Any type of change is 2/3.
Okay, so it does look like that's a change as well. For any technical, it's a 3/5. So that lowers the voting threshold there. So we'll see what happens. This is just released. It's been signed to the House Administration Committee. Assuming we'll see that soon.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look through it. It's a 6-page bill, 155 lines.
Yeah, I have it here. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to take a look at it and really kind of get into the weeds on the bill. But again, I don't necessarily mind putting the question to the voters.
I don't either. And we hear that. That's actually one thing since I've been here that I've heard from voters a lot is why can't we go to, a lot of states have a referendum process. And I think the voters would really like that.
Well, a lot of people that are moving in say, well, put it to the voters.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to put it to the voters
Right.
because that's not how Delaware is set up, and we're the only state that does not involve the public when it comes to a constitutional amendment. So we're definitely an outlier there.
Yeah. So I think with a couple tweaks, I definitely would support that.
I'd be interested to see what sort of constitutional amendments would come about if this passes. Like, because they only have to convince their caucuses in the current General Assembly to vote a certain way on a constitutional amendment. So I wonder if, especially raising that threshold up to that 60% for Republicans in the state, that's a huge help to ensure that, another portion of the state's voices is heard. So I'm just curious to see, if this passes, what sort of amendments could be brought up, because now they have to actually appeal to Republican voters in the state.
Yeah.
Well, do they though? Because if the voters fail to pass it, you said they.
Yeah, I mean, this is true.
Exactly.
The General Assembly.
But that's the piece I don't like.
Yeah.
I think we would need
if
to.
it doesn't get changed and amended before it's passed.
Right. And that would be an amendment that would need to be required in order for us.
An amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah. Right.
There you
Or
go.
a substitute, to the. Right. All right. So more to come on that. We'll follow it and let everyone know. I did want to give an update on HB 403. I don't think it had a bill number when we discussed it last time. It's sponsored by Democrats Claire Snyder Hall, and it's the one that will require tap rooms and taverns to keep at least 2 opioid antagonists, so like a Narcan, on the premises, and it would also mandate the staff to administer it. So I think the question you had last time was, what's a tap room and what's a tavern? So I looked that up. Tap room is basically primarily an alcohol-focused establishment where food is secondary, and a tavern is specifically an establishment serving beer or wine in single servings for on-premises consumption. And I think some of the reasoning I saw in the bill for this is that I guess sometimes there can be an interaction with drugs and alcohol, so maybe that's why. Because I know we were all a little like, what if, how do you know that this is what someone is experiencing, and will it hurt them further if you give them Narcan and you're not supposed to. I just feel like these are servers. These are bartenders. They're not medical professionals. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But it does say one thing that I noticed when I was looking at this is that this instruction will be added to the state's required alcohol server training program. I know Peyton might be interested in that because I know she's a bartender on the side. So that's interesting. We'll see. Again, I'm fine. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I do wonder, are they also going to be trained to use an EpiPen and things like that as well?
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. I don't think that's moved yet. All right.
You have like 10 papers there. I'm like,
well, I have
4-hour podcast.
Well, what I did today is because Senator Pettyjohn always seems to have questions about the bills I discuss, so I decided to print out all the bills, so that way if he had a question, I could look it up. Trying to be prepared and one step ahead.
So it's your fault, Brian.
It's my fault, I guess. Yeah. You need
why
an
do you
iPad
have
or
so many
something.
questions, Brian?
I'm curious.
I know.
Curiosity.
All right, another bill we heard in Senate Health Committee last week, which I think is a bad idea, is Senate Bill 13, sponsored by Democrat Senator Pinckney, mandates free or discounted care based on income at hospitals. And this applies to both hospitals and facility-based providers. So basically, it would be free care, 100% free, for household incomes at or below 300% of the federal poverty level. 75% discount for income between 300 and 350% of the poverty level. 50% discount for income between 350 and 400% of the federal poverty level. And that's pretty high. That would be an individual, that would put you in the range of about $55,000 to $63,000 a year, somewhere in that range. Now, and there's even an additional hardship discount for someone at least 500% of the federal poverty level, and that would be a hardship one. But here's my question when I look at this. First thing I'm thinking, I think a lot of these people for the free care would be probably just out of the scope of Medicaid eligibility. What is going to stop every one of these people from canceling their health insurance and just using the ER and a hospital as their primary care? Because you can go and you can get free care. And everyone kept asking, how is this going to be paid for? And the bill sponsor just kept saying, well, the hospital will write it off. I mean, there's a cost associated with this. I mean, there's
Write it off on what?
Right. They're just going to write it off.
Oh, just...
Yeah, I don't know. That was what the response was. But I did look at what some of the other states are passing, and some states have something similar, but Delaware would be an outlier at how much more we are allowing. And with everything else we've done to hospitals, like the Diamond State Review Board, I never say that right. Is that am I saying it right? And all of these other things, I'm concerned that I don't know how the hospitals are going to be able to afford this, and someone's going to have to pay for it, and it's probably going to be us and our insurance premium.
They're just going to write it off.
Yeah. No, but that's what's going to happen. The
Right.
negotiated rates on the insurance on people that actually have coverage is going to go up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Senator Buxton was in committee. He's like, dude, like, I qualify for this. Like, I mean, so this isn't like just people who are down on their luck. Like, and I mean, I know that we've talked to, Dr. I guess I can say this. I don't think it's confidential. Dr. Tam with BB, and he even had some concerns because of how high these limits are.
And one of the things that I was thinking of, you may have retirees that fall under that because of their pensions, but are living in $1 million homes.
Right.
So, we're just looking at their annual income to see whether or not they fall under the poverty guidelines, but we're not looking at their assets either.
Right.
So, that's one of the concerns as well is, are we looking at the entire financial picture of a person who could otherwise probably be able to pay, but because they're on a pension or, government pension or retirement or whatever, that they kind of fall within this and are either getting it free or at a substantial discount.
And if someone's down on their luck, I think we can all agree we should help them out.
We should.
But this isn't that.
That's what charity care is.
Exactly. That's what charity care is meant for. But this, in addition to what I just stated, like I said, it applies to both hospitals and facility-based providers. It creates a statewide minimum discount standards. It suspends collections during pending applications, creates legal defenses in debt collection actions, and it allows AG enforcement. So basically, the Attorney General is authorized to bring civil action on behalf of patients who have been harmed by violations of these new standards.
I didn't think that we were able to collect debt on medical now anyway.
That's what I thought. That was one of the things we were talking about.
Yeah.
We're like, we thought we did a bill to do away with that.
I thought we did too.
But I don't know.
Now we're just going to double
not do it. Basically.
Double not do it. Yeah.
So, like I
just in
said,
case somebody gets double dog dared to do it.
Yeah, is that double negative? I don't know.
I don't know.
Again, this is just the kind of thing like, who's paying for this? That's, and I don't think it's heartless to say that. There's a cost associated with all of these big ideas, and we have to think that. This is just, I think this is just craziness. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we need more details on how this is going to.
Yeah, and
well, it's out of committee, so we'll be seeing it on the Senate floor soon.
Okay, great.
And for families that make a decent amount of money, and one partner gets really sick, it's going to incentivize that other partner to just quit their job and go work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you could have a highly skilled person that's just like, all right, I want to get health care. I'm going to go, drop some fries.
Or work under the table.
Or that, too. I mean...
But imagine what this does to the marketplace, too. If you have all these people pull out because why pay a high insurance premium when I can just go get it for free? That's going to up the rates for all the people that are still in there, because part of that, the reason the rates are supposed to be reasonable is because it's such a big pool of people.
Because everybody's supposed to be in it.
There's no thought given to that, how this affects and ripples out.
Similar things that we see with, Medicaid and Medicare now with just, abuse of it. And, we've got...
expanded eligibility that way.
Exactly. And now people just don't want to, increase their productivity and income to actually, get these benefits. It's just, we'll see.
Yeah. Yep. All right. The last bill that I have on here today, I just wanted to bring up because we had talked about the bill that Representative Smith and Representative Shoup have both introduced on multiple occasions that basically did away with the 10% that school districts were allowed to put out. Yeah. So it's back, but this time it's sponsored by a Democrat. So it looks like it's actually moving now. The Republicans couldn't get it out of committee, but it's been signed out of committee in the Senate because, again, we have a Democrat sponsor. It is slightly different than their two bills, but the concept is still the same. And this is the kind of stuff that drives me crazy about this building. If it's a good idea, it should not matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. It should move forward based on its merits. And so I don't want to get too far in the weeds there because this one I could start to really go off. But again, this could have passed 4 years ago.
It could have passed pre-reassessment.
Pre-reassessment. But because of Republicans,
at least
sponsoring
the 10% piece of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So once reassessment happened and it became such a huge
political football.
Now we're going to move forward with it. So again, I just want to make sure people are very clear. This was a Republican idea to start with. So just want to make sure I put that out there.
Yeah,
that's right. Always got our back there, Deanna.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Looking out for the Republicans here.
Yeah, but that's all that I have as far as bills go. You guys have anything?
Just this is the time to look because we did have DFAC that happened, so we've got a better picture of what our budget numbers look like, and subsequently that's why you've got markup that's going on now. Numbers were up quite a bit compared to what we were told previously that this year was going to be down. Numbers are up, and that doesn't even figure in the corporate or the LLC taxes that were increased. So that's going to be another $142 million plus. That's going to go into our revenue. So we'll see what happens. My ask is always that we not grow the budget too much. We're pretty good on our reserves right now and our stabilization funds. So either we do it on one-time type projects that we did a lot, over the last few years with construction and stuff like that, or try to give it, back to the taxpayer somehow.
And I do think that the chairs of JFC and the governor, I feel like we're all on the same page this year. I think they all kind of feel the same way,
I hope.
which is unusual. We'll see if that pans out, but they seem to be a little bit more fiscally responsible than.
Again,
These is just the chairs. This isn't the party as a whole.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the party ends up kind of having a lot to say. But I will give a shout out to Senator Pardee and Rep. Williams. I think they do a really good job of trying to rein things in and keep things manageable.
Yeah, and again, it's the out years that are always worrisome, as to what we're going to find. Usually when we're, a year out, we get better focus on what's going to happen, better clarity. But, we're always scared about the out years, what's going to happen. So, as much as we can, keep the budget growth very low,
Right.
I think our state will be in a much better position.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You agree with that, Matt?
100%.
All right, Matt agrees, so we can end.
I would
Yep.
never question Senator Pettyjohn.
No, come on.
No.
Not-
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
All right.
you got
Blake?
anything, Blake?
No, I'm good.
You're
Okay.
enjoying this, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's great.
Blake's been our intern. He was our intern last year, and he's our intern this year. He does a fantastic job.
Yes.
And I
We've
know
got a great staff.
we really do all around. But
Yeah.
Everybody's awesome.
yeah, I know it's educational to be able to have a front row seat to all
It's
this.
educational. It's frightening. It's disheartening. it's
Frightening
a lot
is
of
a good word. Yeah.
Kind of being able to look behind the curtain
Yeah, it's
and see
concerning.
what's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I try to stay optimistic. Some days I leave deflated, but I always try to stay optimistic.
Yeah, like Thursday.
Yeah. I was deflated, but at the same time, I was so proud of how you guys debated on the floor and held your own that,
That's when it gets fun. It gets,
Yeah.
it's like a sports event. We're sitting there watching, like, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
and then watch, some people get irritated that we're talking. That makes it even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like that Orioles game yesterday that went, 14 innings, I think?
Was it? I
Yeah.
I was too busy watching my Cavaliers get absolutely destroyed.
Oh, they did get.
Yeah. Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. I didn't realize you were a Cavs fan.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You know, Cleveland, everything except for the Guardians.
Oh,
So-
what baseball team? Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Yankees. That's right.
Yankees. Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
That's exactly
Well,
what
I
I
mean,
said.
you got-
Whenever I'm behind him and I see that on his truck, I always
Garrett-
text him. I was like, "Hey, you got some graffiti on the back
Yeah.
of your vehicle."
Yeah.
Garrett Cole had a nice little outing on his debut.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yankees they're looking good.
I
Best
like
player in baseball with Aaron Judge. What is there not to like?
I like that we're starting to end this with a little bit of sports commentary.
Yeah.
Kind of appeal to it. Yeah.
I wonder if he uses the Yankees sticker as to hide a dent in his car. I think that would make sense.
Who's your team?
So,
I'm a Philadelphia guy.
Okay.
Okay.
okay. So I actually got it. So my wife's grandfather, so their family's all from Maine, right? Big Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
And somehow her late grandfather years ago acquired this Yankees magnet. And so when we were up there, so we go up there every year, and he said, "Here, put this on your. I don't want it."
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's funny.
My uncle was a big Yankees fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Richard. I don't know why, but
Everything
don't- was just Yankees
I don't know
for
the reason for why my dad started following the Yankees, because his family were always big Baltimore Orioles, Baltimore Colts fans. I can explain the Browns thing, why he roots for them. I don't know where the Yankees came from. I mean, I know his favorite player was Don Mattingly, but that was 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so
I don't
that's
know.
later.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Donnie Baseball.
Didn't even realize that Tampa Bay was leading the AL East right now.
Well, temporary.
Yeah,
So.
6 games ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Typical Yankee fan fashion. I really don't pay too much attention to the playoffs, but
I don't really pay attention to the All-Star break. Yeah, because the Orioles have a tendency to not be horrible, but then the All-Star break happens, and then everything just falls apart.
it's such a long season. 162 games is really
Yeah.
long.
It's a lot of baseball.
Yeah,
Sometimes you forget it's still going. You're like, oh, there's a game this week.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah. Anyway, what are your teams, Deanna?
Well, Orioles and Ravens Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a big Baltimore family.
Balmer.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my guys are diehard. It gets pretty violent if they're not winning. They're hotheads, and you can, and they'll admit to this too. JJ, Jason, you should see him, and Jacob, you should see them watching a game together. It's funny.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's entertaining. Yeah.
Your husband's bald head probably just getting beat red.
Yep.
Whenever it is.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see Jesse. Yeah.
Yeah, huge Baltimore fans.
So, well, I guess on that note. So, like I said, we will not be in session, obviously, this week or next week. But then when we return on June 9th will be the final sprint towards the end of the General Assembly.
10 legislative days remaining.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, I think 9, actually, because Juneteenth isn't.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday.
Oh,
we
is
won't
it?
be. I think
I
so.
didn't think Juneteenth was on a
I didn't
session
think we
day
had
this
that.
year.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
thought Juneteenth
Well,
was Friday.
yeah.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah, because I looked it up. Yeah, it's a Friday this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
so it's one of the first times it hasn't interfered with session.
Yeah.
well, we're
Or
not.
I shouldn't say interfere
okay.
with session. It's
I seem to
where they
recall
had-
that there
it
was
conflicted.
one. I seem to recall there was one day where we weren't going to be in.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the
Okay.
calendar now.
Yeah.
9th, 10th, 11th, 16th, 17th,
Then
18th,
come in on Monday.
23, 24th, 25th, and then
Yeah.
the 30th.
And things are
alright.
things are going to start to move very fast. I worked on all the bills that were on the Senate ready list over the weekend, and that doesn't even include a lot of stuff that's still waiting in the House and things that we still might see in the Senate. And there is a lot. So
Yeah, Blake, how many did you say it was? I know you were.
Yeah, we've got 84 bills on the Senate ready list.
How many of ours?
Not a lot.
I don't know. I didn't really look at that, but
Not a lot.
I'd actually be interested to see how many of ours are on there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not many that I saw.
Well, see, we've had a good tendency once our bills are on the ready list to try to get them.
keep them moving.
Yeah, get them on the floor.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done good this year. We've had a really good
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Yeah, some good legislation.
Yeah,
We'll do one episode where we actually highlight our good stuff.
and we will.
Instead
We'll,
of
and we'll
just-
do a
instead
wrap
just
up.
lament all
We'll
the
do a
bad
wrap
things.
up, and
Yeah.
we'll maybe we should have when after session we'll do a wrap up of all the good stuff we passed, and then we'll have a separate episode all the
Of all
terrible
the bad stuff that got passed.
A little
Yeah.
compare and contrast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Sounds-
Yeah, that's
Sounds fun.
Here's stuff that actually benefits you versus why you're going to be paying more in energy costs and on your taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not because of us.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. So on that note,
Yeah, sounds good.
Bring
yeah.
us home, Matt. Wrap it up.
No, we.
Remember, my mom said you have to say thank you. to
That's
everyone
right.
for
Well,
listening.
thank you to everybody
Yeah.
who.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in,
Yes, Mrs.
Yeah.
Smith. Really appreciate it, particularly.
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith.
Um,
Yeah, we really appreciate you watching it.
We really do. And look, things. I mean, just be sure to follow us on social media. Sign up for the senators' newsletters. We'll be putting out the link to each of them on their pages as we head into June. Because, like you said, there's going to be a lot of stuff flying around. It's going to be really
A lot of coffee.
Gonna be a
and
lot of
energy
noise
drinks.
out
It-
there.
Fast and
Yeah.
furious.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's how the building works, especially
And
in
we
the
were
second.
warned by someone from the majority side that it's going to move faster this year than in
Yes.
years past.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible, but
Mm-mm.
I challenge
We'll-
accepted, I guess.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, then
See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. For the Record is recorded and produced by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus. You can find us with the DE Senate GOP handle on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. Discover more about our caucus on our website, senategop.delaware.gov.